So obviously, both the people on this podcast and the audience listening have a lot of people that play a lot of video games. Like 4 hours a day is laughable. Like I'm talking like 8+ hours a day for a lot of people. How is somebody like? What are some indicators that somebody should look for to find out if they have like an unhealthy relationship with that hobby? Like I'm sure there are people that play for 8 hours a day, but they still work, they still see friends, like they feel okay. And then there are people that don't. Like how should somebody know like this is probably an unhealthy addiction or something?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So what we tend to kind of fire back with something like that is this person able to identify that this behavior is getting in the way of their life? Is it getting in the way of things that they want to be doing? Is it getting in the way of things that they should be doing or need to be doing? If they can't identify that, okay, there's probably a pretty serious problem there. This kind of lack of awareness of everything going on. We see that in like substance abuse issues where, even of a poll of about 30 million people who have struggled with substance abuse, only like 1% actually identified that they had a problem, which is pretty alarming. So if they don't have that awareness, then I'm pretty concerned. If they are aware, then what I tend to think is, okay, what are you trying to get away from? What could potentially exist here that leads to someone occupying so much time with any habit, and maybe not even just any habit, but something like gaming, where so many systems are built to entice you, to reward dopamine, to set up that kind of psychological structure where it feels rewarding, sort of, to continue playing.
How does somebody know when they're at a level where they need like external help for something? So maybe somebody has tried to deal with issues and they feel like maybe they don't have a good grasp on it, or they can't tell if they're improving fast enough. What are a couple of good indicators for somebody to be looking for like, I need to reach out to somebody else because I can't deal with this on my own?
Sure. So in terms of what that individual might be looking for, if they're being introspective, if they can be mindful of where their feelings are, if they can be mindful of what their actions are, and they identify that those things don't line up with what they want and where they should be, more so that has been going on for an extended amount of time. And it's at a point where the symptoms, the response to those things, is starting to have some other kinds of manifestations. Now, that's kind of like a long-winded way to answer it. But I think the reality is, if you're somebody who is experiencing something like depression, for example, and you go through and you realize that this state of depression has not faded and it's been a considerable amount of time, that's a point where you might want to start to reach out and get help, because whether you've really developed something like a major depressive disorder or not, you're certainly taking on the behaviors of such. And that is an issue. If it's like something related to anxiety, and anxiety is keeping you from going the places that you want to go, is keeping you from doing and engaging in the actions that you want to engage in, and you don't find that you have had any change in that over the last few months or so, that's when I tend to recommend somebody seek help. At the same time, I almost kind of encourage it. I think maybe that's where Dr. K and I disagree. Is I'm almost to the point where I think, as we increase access to mental health services, that they're pretty safe to activate on at any point. Not necessarily that somebody will fix you, but somebody will be able to help you identify even further if it's necessary to be in treatment for an extended amount of time.